and welcome to today's video. We're going to be looking at questions from the study island topic, rational functions. And this is the second video that I do that in. So this is part 2. And we're also looking at questions from the standard 2.7 A, B, C, and D in Algebra 2. And so I'm just wrapping up the questions that I've pulled from study islands under this topic that you can do on the graphing calculator or with very little paper pencil work on the graphing calculator. And so as I'm going through these questions, please take time to write down notes, write down the buttons that I'm pressing in what order so that you can have that to refer back to when you are trying these questions on your own. And you can even pause and rewind if I go too fast while you're taking those notes. This is a tool that you get on the EOI, the Algebra 2 EOI, so it's a good idea to know how these do paper and pencil, but also how to do these questions using this tool that you are given, and to practice using it beforehand. This first question here, we're asked to find the x-intercepts. So the first step in doing this is to go into y equals and clear out anything that's there and type this rational function into y1. So to get the fraction form to fill in, I'm going to go to Math, right arrow over to Number, and then up arrow so that the last option D is selected that says Numerator over Denominator, and press Enter. And that gives me a fraction to fill in. So I'm going to put 3 parenthesis x, and I use this button right beside alpha to get my x, minus 3 in parenthesis, then down arrow to get to the denominator, and then x squared plus 2x plus 2. And then I'm going to right arrow over, and then I'm going to go ahead and graph it, and I'm going to go ahead and use the zoom standard choice, which is choice 6, so I press 6. And this just gives me a screen where the x and y axis both start and end at -10 and 10 respectively. And so here I'm looking for the x-intercepts, and remember x-intercepts is always in the form of a coordinate where the y-coordinate is 0 and the x-coordinate is your x-intercept. So the y-coordinate has to be 0, so that eliminates b, and d is eliminated because I can see it is crossing the x-axis. And so that means it has to be a or c because that has the y-coordinate of 0. And I can see that it's crossed where x is positive on the x-axis. So that means that it's probably not going to be c because that's a negative number. So that means just by glancing at the graph, I have a highly suspicion that a is going to be my final answer. So, but I can use the calculator to know that for sure. And so there's 2 ways to find the x-intercept. The first way is to use the calc feature right here, and it's blue above the button. So anything that's in blue above a button, I have to use second. So I'm going to use second calc. And then I'm going to do choice 2 where it says 0, because 0 is a synonym for x-intercept. So I select 2 and press enter, or just press 2. And it comes up asking for the left bound. So that just means I need to move this little spider to the left of the x-intercept. So right now it's to the left of this x-intercept. So I'm going to press enter. And then it asks for the right bound. So I'm going to use the right or left arrows to move it so that it's to the right of the x-intercept. And so now it's to the right, so I'm going to press enter. And then it says guess. So that means I'm going to move the little spider using the left and right arrows as close to the x-intercept as possible and press enter. And there it goes straight to the x-intercept, and it tells me down here that the x-intercept is 3, 0. So that means I have confirmed that A is going to be my final answer. The other way you can do it is using the table feature, and so you can use second calc or second table. Either place will find the x-intercept for you. You just pick which way you're the most comfortable with and stick with it. And so first I need to go to table setup to make sure that my table is going to be setting correctly. So I'm just going to have it start at 0 instead of some large negative number and go by ones. So I'm going to put a 0 and 1 there, and then I press second table. And I'm looking for where there's a 0 in the y column. X-intercept, by definition, always has a 0 as the y coordinate. And right away, I don't even have to scroll up and down. I can see that there's a 0 right here in the y column, and it's across from 3, so 3, 0, once again, is going to be the correct answer, choice A. And the second question asks me to find the y-intercept of this rational function, and anytime I see it asking for a y-intercept and I have the graphing calculator to use, I'm cheering because this is a fairly easy operation to ask the graphing calculator to do. So as always, I have to enter the function into the graphing calculator, and I do that under y equals. I clear out the old function from y1, and I'm going to enter the new one. So I'm going to go into math, scroll over to number, and then scroll to that last choice of numerator over denominator. Press enter to get the fraction to fill in. And on the top, I'm going to put x plus 4, down arrow to the denominator, and put in x squared plus 5x plus 3. And I double check that what I have on the screen here is the same as what's in the problem, and it is. And I'm going to go ahead and graph it. And I'm going to use Zoom Standard just so I know I'm getting the screen where the x and y axes start and finish at the -10 and +10. And so here's my graph. And I need to find the y-intercept. So I'm going to go into Calculate again, and I'm going to do second Calc. And this time I'm going to choose Value, which is the first choice. So I can press Enter or 1. Both of them will do enter, and now it's asking me, okay, what x do you want to know? Well, by definition, the y-intercept is when the x coordinate is 0. So I'm going to put a 0 here and press enter, and there it tells me that the y-intercept, so when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 4/3. So right there is my y-intercept point, 0 4/3, which is choice B, my final answer. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you learned something new.